making your way in the world today, you really need a pod. Why don't you put your headphones in and give this one a shot? Wouldn't you like to just listen away and go to a place where everybody knows who you are? Listen to two guys brew, ha ha. Cold Street Brewery and Full Buddy Cast, two of the greatest names. Why don't you go and listen to this episode?
That wind is hard, man.
Yeah, it's fucking cold. That's the other thing. It's super cold.
Speaking of super cold, all right, everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Brew Ha Ha. We've got the brewmaster, the coolest guy in the beard. Let's get weird with the beard today. Sean McDonald.
What's going on?
What's up?
I still love that intro too. I mean, I love Cheers.
Yeah,
and I love kind of like putting that with my bar. That's what it with the brewery. That's what it kind of starting to feel like. People coming down. I
feel like the more I go down there, I start to see like the people that I start to know their name. It's nice knowing their name, and if you don't know their name, at least you know their face. So this is Full Buddy Cast presents Brew Ha Ha. I'm Travis Kenny, your host of Full Buddy Cast, and we've partnered with Brew Ha Ha, or not Brew Ha, Cold Street Brewery, Brew Ha Ha, Cold Street Brewery, Sean McDonald, and believe me, or gosh dang, listen guys, seriously, I haven't had a sip of alcohol. Maybe that's what's going wrong.
I think that's a problem.
That's
why I had to down a little beer there before we
let's
even got
get
going.
into it. Okay, let's get right into it.
Go sober.
And let's get into the beer of the week. Very fun doing a taste test last time. No taste test this time. That's okay though.
Well, it's not a blind taste, but we'll still see it. We'll check you to see.
Is
if you
this
can guess
water?
What this is.
This looks like.
Well,
is this poison?
Yep. A couple podcasts ago, you had mentioned, or actually, I was listening to the Garage Night. That's what it was. And you were throwing out like the low calories and no
low
calories.
Calorie, yeah.
And drinking.
You have a low calorie beer?
Ike call things.
No one's going to test me on it, or no one's going to follow up with me on the.
So this would be the same as that. This is a fermented seltzer water.
You make a seltzer water? Seltzer water?
I've dabbled in it. I've dabbled in it. So
it tastes good.
So this one, so I brought two versions of it. I brought the flat version where there's no flavor to it, just fermented out water, seltzer water. It's kind of clean flavor. This one we're drinking right now is a blood orange. So I just took a blood orange, put it in there. That's why there's a little bit of a hue to it. There's a little bit of an orange hue, but I went pretty light. Normally I go 3 pounds to a gallon, and this one I went 1 pound to a gallon.
Wow.
That way it didn't add too much sugar, so it can ferment out that sugar so we can lose those calories and keep this light, seltzer water.
So what's it called?
I don't know. It's called seltzer water.
Seltzer water. Do you need a name for it?
Yeah, I kind of do need a name
for it. So, hey, you guys, listen. Shoot over a name. Be creative with it. I know Holly Graff is like wanting to get on the Mazatlan menu. I'm not saying this is her spot to do it, but I know she's going to try and think of a fun name.
Names can be tough, so if you do thinking of a name, do a quick Google search and make sure it doesn't come up somewhere else.
Oh, you can't have.
We don't want a copyright
issues
because once I get locked in on something, then it sucked that everybody knows it as that.
Right.
I have to change it.
Makes sense.
Just a quick Google search is super simple. If you don't get it right away, then that's cool.
Yeah, I used to do that with podcast names, and I'm like, forget it.
Yeah,
we had Brew Ha, but we had Brew Ha Ha first.
We did.
Someone
tried to copy us.
Yeah, someone's out there, so we might have to sue them. Beer of the week, TBD later.
But it's blood orange.
Full bloody craft.
Okay. Full bloody craft. Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. I can use craft. That's in my I've trademarked that.
A full bloody craft. Gosh, you know what? That's a good one, but we're not gonna call it that. But man, is that not a good one?
Yeah.
It's just okay, I guess. Cool. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Sean.
Made your money for the night?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you kind of just poo-pooed me there. All right. So anyway, beer of the week. What's real quick? What's the ABV on this?
Super low. This is only 4%.
4%. Yeah. So it's just like those summer spring beers that you want to go golfing with.
Like I said, low calories. So, most of the sugar from the blood orange has gotten taken out to make the alcohol.
What's the sugar intake? I mean, is it like something like this? Do you have to make it sweeter? Add more? What do you add to give it that sweeter taste?
Well, with the seltzer water, because it's dry, I have to add some something to it. I use a compound.
You don't really want to. What are you afraid like what's that guy's name from Breaking Bad? You're afraid like Walter White's gonna walk in and you're making the stuff that he makes on his side. You don't want to. I'm not saying this is meth. I'm not saying that, but you don't want to reveal.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. I've seen a couple other people do it and not get it done. I got it in my first try.
I see what you're saying.
And I'm like, okay.
I see what you're saying. You don't want to reveal the special sauce.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that tricky. But those that are brewers, true brewers, they can come talk to me. I'm more than happy to talk to that. I'm just not going to put it over the waves.
Baseball guy, were you ever a fan of the Milwaukee Brewers? Just because of it?
No.
Oh, okay. That was just a random question with that.
Yeah, no.
Maybe I got the summer in my mouth right now. I got to say this. That chocolate coffee stout that you had, was so good. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what I mean, I throughout this week have just been like, I could still taste it. Like, I'm just like, I can still taste it. That would be my dessert beer. Like, honestly, and I forget ice cream, forget cookies and milk.
So you're saying this seltzer water that I made specifically for you?
No, this is
when
good.
You talked about it on the garage night. I was drinking light, calorie free. You want to take the pudge off in this January where you're on a diet and you can't drink alcohol.
This is good. This is really good.
Make it special for you, and then you poo. You want to go back to the fat lactose coffee. Stout.
I was such a nerd. I was such a nerd this weekend. We were having a beer, and it was a dark beer. And they're like, "Oh, that's going to be heavy." I'm like, "Actually,
that's heavy.
Not that heavy." Uh-huh. Well, let's talk about. I think Inslee had a thing today, but I think he mostly was just talking about how vaccines are getting out there, and that's really good.
So last week. He kind of had a different rollout. I wanted to touch on that real quick because a lot of people are coming in. They hear this and they think one thing when it's in reality it's a completely different thing. Mm-hmm. So we kind of moved to a different stage where he said on there that restaurants or even breweries can have 20% or 25% indoor seating. So I'm getting a lot of phone calls asking about the indoor. People stopping by asking about the indoor. So there's some serious hurdles with that. One, you have to have an O2 meter, which unfortunately you can't even find right now because everybody's buying them, to monitor how much CO2 is in the building. And then basically have roll-up doors. Like at my original location, my brewery location, I could open those doors up. Basically, you roll your doors all the way up and you check the O2 to make sure you're within that parameter, and you can have people indoors. The problem with that, most of the restaurants, so if you go to the Rainier, you go to the Mint, they have a small front door and a small back door. There's no way they can have enough air flowing through there. I always joke because I push my beer with CO2. I could just put a big tank of CO2 in the back, just crack the valve and throw a fan behind it.
Just let it roll.
Yeah, I could up the CO2 if I wanted to, but at the same time, for 25%, there are, that's the other thing, there are a lot of businesses that have jumped on getting roll-up doors. So unfortunately, you can't even get a roll-up door right now. Just like everything about COVID, as soon as something comes out, a change, there's a huge bandwagon jump of everybody buying up whatever that new thing is.
Yeah.
So roll-up doors are going to be a brand new thing, which is great. In the summertime, that'll be nice. Be able to roll it up, open up your space. I looked into that before when I first moved into the Courier, but unfortunately, and the Il Siciliano, the Italian place behind us, has those.
I think they have them. Yeah.
The city kind of balked at that a little bit because I'm on the main street with Cole Street. Mm-hmm. They were afraid that it's going to kind of change the aesthetic of the whole street.
Right.
They didn't say I couldn't do it. They just said I had to go to design review board, and it'd be pretty specific what type of doors I could use, and different steps that I would have to take, which is, time, money, effort. And that's where I kind of just backed off on it. It's not that I'm not going to do it. It's just a back burner.
So does it have to be a rolling door, or can it just be giant barn door? I mean, like, it just has to be a few, like 8 feet wide type of a thing?
I had actually, so this is a great thing, the Thunderdome Car Museum.
Yeah,
a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
They're actually glass people, and I don't know if you've gone in there, but in their display area, they have a really cool all windows that is on a roller, and it rolls open. And I talked to them about actually doing that on my front. But unfortunately, that's really, really expensive. Really, really cool, but really,
so if anyone
really
wants
expensive.
To really invest,
yes,
if they're like
just in my roll
just
up
the
door.
roll up door,
yeah.
They're like, you know what?
It's really expensive.
Maybe they can
really
get their
cool,
name
though.
etched in one of the side, like an inch big, if they wanted to do that.
Well, they could be 5 foot big if they want to pay for it. It's expensive,
Yeah.
down the road maybe, but anyway, it's really cool in the car museum. I highly suggest go checking out. I mean, the museum's amazing anyway, but they have so many cool things in there. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there because there's been a lot of questions about that why aren't you letting people sit inside and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
That's the rules. It's all about
abide
CO2
by them. We're going to get through this, but you're being creative. Now, the thing that is interesting, we're on a windy night right now recording. Hopefully we don't lose power. But I know there's other restaurants out there that are able to open up their windows and their doors. And the crazy thing about Enumclaw is we get these crazy winds up in the plateau. And so that would be rough to be like, hey, full staff, we're ready to roll. We've got the dinner ready to go. And then you just get this windstorm. It's going to start whipping through and not only is it going to make it cold, but it's just going to knock stuff over. That would be very different than have to make the decision where it's like, okay, we're doing dine in or dine out only, pick up only, so to speak. So
you're sitting there just fighting the wind
just
the whole time.
Fighting the wind and your food's blown into your face.
But I think we're still really lucky here in Enumclaw. On the weekends, still get the main street shut down, Cole Street shut down. Fire tables out there, and we have decent tents where you can sit outside. I have outdoor seating.
That's cool. Now, if you guys wanted to combine the two of full bloody craft with the roll up door, roll bloody craft, you can. I don't know that we're it's not there yet. But we're figuring it out.
Still working on it.
Any other COVID updates for Cole Street Brewery?
No, that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, we're just rolling through.
Okay.
So I had a question for you, Travis.
Yes, I like getting interviewed.
So when you get together with your friends and go out, say you're going out of town.
Okay.
You're rolling down to Arizona.
Okay.
What do you do when you go to Arizona?
All right. Well, if it's going to be no wives guy trip, are we talking about that?
Both.
Well, there's if there's both, then it's usually golf. At some point, hitting up restaurants, hitting up breweries, hitting up even wine. My wife's going to want to go to a winery and do a tasting, casino, pool, whatever kind of the attractions are. But I know this one. So this one time, 2 years ago, never been to Denver, Colorado before. Went 2 years ago for my uncle's retirement party. We hit up Denver. And we actually did a beer brewery. There's breweries downtown in everywhere. Denver.
You know why that is, right?
Please tell me.
GABF is there every year. You know what GABF is?
One more time for people in the back.
Great American Beer Festival.
Really?
Yes. It's the first festival of its type where they actually created the different beers. They have your different parameters for beers. And it started very small, obviously, with home brewers sort of thing, and then it grew, and it's grown every year. It's every year in October. This year, it was an online sort of thing, or Zoom, whatever.
Of course.
But last year went there with a couple buddies, and that's what I was getting to anyways, like when I go places, I go on beer trips.
Yeah.
We all get together and go beer trips. I've gone to GABF, Great American Beer Festival, for like the last 4 years.
What time of year does that hit?
It's in October. It's normally like the first weekend of October.
That's so funny. I was there the 1st of September. That's crazy. We've just missed each other.
Right.
Do you hit up the, like they usually have food trucks galore too.
Of course. So there's a lot of really cool places down there. There's a place called the, I want to say it's the Rolling Rock or the Falling Rock. The Falling Rock. It's a little bar. But if you, I don't know, I'm a beer geek. If you are kind of a beer geek and know some of the more bigger breweries, when you walk in there, you will bump elbows with some pretty famous, famous in my world, famous brewers. Because everybody comes for GABF, whether you enter a beer or not. There's something like 9,000 beers that you can try. There's over 1,000 different breweries. There's all sorts of collaboration beers and that sort of thing. It's a really really fun event. It's normally like 1-2 weekends, and they have all kinds of seminars there too. If you are professional and you want to get in there and learn some stuff from the bigger guys. But then, bouncing around. So that's also what's kind of grown the beer scene in downtown Denver, because every year all the, world famous or even big brewers come into town and, they're looking for beer after the event.
Where do the Rockies play? Do they play in Denver, Colorado?
They do, yeah.
I don't know if like Colorado, if they were someplace else. So Colorado Rockies, kind of based off of the Colorado Rocky type.
Yeah, I want to say there's 2 stadiums. I've walked by them.
Well, I went to the Broncos one. That
That's what it is. Yeah.
Mile High. Yeah. So I was walking through like from one brewery to the next brewery, and I happened to pass by the stadium. It was a long walk, but it was fun. It was a good time down there.
Yeah. I highly suggest there's a college right there by their basketball arena. I know how to spell it. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Tioli. Tioli.
Italy.
Yeah, Tioli. But it's a college, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So they have a brewing class, obviously, and then they put the kids' beers on tap. So you can go in there, kind of try some semi-professional, learning to be professional beers, and then they have professional beers on tap too. Yeah,
so do you have to
cool
get
spot.
Real quick? Sorry about that. Do you have to like get a license and a certificate? Like when you're brewing, I don't know much.
I've gone to college many times.
So
but I don't. You don't necessarily have to. It does if you're going to work for a big guy. They want it.
Yeah.
Or and if you're going to a big guy in order to make more money, you're gonna need one.
Yeah.
Be able to move up. But no.
Okay.
I'm a school of hard knocks. I've gone to several college courses and different things, different classes. Honestly, I've done more with other alcohols than I've done with beer.
Yeah.
Most of my beer classes were homebrew classes or hanging out with homebrew clubs and just learning from, like I said, school of hard knocks.
Gotcha. So when it comes to learning, like, do you ever have you ever thought about doing your own? Now that people are Zooming and, you know what, maybe I'll not sell, but like you're like, but maybe, hey, I'm going to set up the Zoom thing,
so
$50.
Honestly, that's been in my business model. So, when I took over the Courier Herald building, I planned to move my smaller equipment and upgrade the bigger equipment. Yeah. And the smaller equipment would be at the Courier Herald where it's kind of on display. And then any host like home brewing classes or something.
Yeah.
So on smaller equipment so they can kind of see how it's going. And then it's also like right in front of the public. So the public's kind of watching the action too. It's the whole mouse in a cage sort of thing. But, I was going to make that fun. Unfortunately, the whole COVID thing got in the way.
Be like the Pacific Science Center of doing cool things while brewing. I know that I am the type of guy, like, let me just put you in. I know we're getting a little off the rails, but I just want to say this one thing. I'm the type of guy when my brother, like, if you're sick, remember being like sick in bed, and the sun's out, it's shining, one of those summer sicknesses that kind of suck. I mean, you definitely get sick, but you're just like, you want to be outside, you have all these things that you want to do, but you can't, right? And I feel like there's so much that you could do, but right now because of the pandemic, you can't.
Yeah.
Like you could be hosting not only just comedy nights, but just like you be hosting even like
well, I already have all those things that I've already had in place, already in plan, and then I have all kinds of other ideas that I want to expand on.
Absolutely, and you can't. Like there's so much potential with 2 places, and I'm not sorry. Like you're just like grit the teeth. Yeah, trap. I know. I deal with this every day.
Yeah, especially with the brewery location, I can't. I can't even open it. Right, like with the new rules, I could open it, but it's a matter of getting people down there. Right. If I could do an event, that would kill it. Like a lot of people just kind of forgotten that it's there, sort of thing.
Right.
They're used to going to the courier now, so trying to let them know that that's back open. That's where I can, if I did an event like boom, hey, grand opening, reopening, blah blah blah. I could get people there, and then they remember and they start stopping back by. But without events, I can't.
When you say event, let's say that I'm a guy. People are still getting married at this time of this. So your capacity, right? If you roll up the door, you could be you could host a bachelor party because it's not going to be open to absolutely everybody. It's going to be just for that bachelor party.
A private event. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, private event. Can private events happen during this time
the word event can't be used.
Oh, okay. So a private
events can be used.
Okay,
can be done. It's it's spacing. It's are they all in the same family? They aren't, so they can't.
Oh, I see.
Then the same table.
I got you.
There's a bunch of that.
Gotcha. So even though you could just roll it, I guess in my mind, just roll up the garage, the big rolling door, and you're fine. There's other things that you got to pay attention to as well. I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, things very difficult, and with all of that, I am open to anything if anybody has suggestions. But it's one of those like you have to go through the checklist of
sure.
Will this work?
The last thing you want is bad publicity, especially.
For sure. I'm surviving just fine right now.
Exactly.
I don't need to take on a fine.
Exactly. Right. You've made it this far. It would be a bummer to, because I feel like things are going to start to do the slow open again. I don't think, knock on all the wood around me, but hopefully past this summer, we won't be. I mean, I'm sure masks will still be a thing, possibly even in the future.
Yeah, I feel like the next couple of years, masks are still going to be a thing.
Yeah, but maybe with the vaccines hitting out and people kind of used to this sort of lifestyle, that maybe they will start opening things up a little bit more and not go into a full-on phase 1, phase 2. Who knows about the holidays next year? I don't know, but at least for
Well, I feel like the summer, once we get back to the summer hot days,
then you're for sure, it's
going to be wide open
by
then. Hopefully sooner, but until then. But
so what do you do when you go out with your boys?
So what I like to do in my spare time is, of course, go to other breweries and check out what they're doing. Anytime I travel, that's even better because then I'm in a completely new area, so you can always judge by your different areas. I have some, I've had some great experiences. I have a really cool story actually. Speaking of Arizona,
we don't like cool stories on this.
I brought that up. I brought up Arizona, and this reminded me. I always forget about this, but I went down to Arizona for spring training. So looking at March and middle of the week, obviously, because I'm on vacation. I can do whatever I want.
So spring training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spring training
with your boys.
No, I was by myself at the time, actually.
Okay,
I was meeting up with people that were coming up from San Diego. I got there a couple of days early.
Gotcha.
So I'm bouncing around on my own. It's middle of the week, and I walk into this bar, Arizona Brewing Company, right? It's got a big Arizona, walk in, and it's a big place, but a little tiny tap room. I was kind of surprised by that. I'm like, okay. And I go in there, and just one older gentleman just sitting at the end of the bar reading a newspaper, and he's on the patron side. So I go up to the bar. I'm kind of just checking out the beer list, and then I'm kind of like, all right, is there any staff around here? And he's like enveloped in the newspaper. So I kind of like, hey, do you know? And he's like, oh yeah, and gets behind the bar. And so he's the one that's working.
Oh wow,
I'm
okay.
Like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I poured some beers, good clean beer. It was kind of weird because there's in the taps, there's 3 different sets of taps, and there are 3 different breweries. So I kind of made a comment on that, like, what's going on with this? And they shared the space with basically 2. They had their own brewery, and then they had 2 other breweries that came in there, brewed on the equipment, and then put their beer on tap there. I'm like,
Gotcha.
oh, that's really cool. And that's also why the tap room was kind of smaller, because it was more just a distribution to the other breweries, sort of thing. And that was cool. So, I get into a conversation with the guy, and, I kind of bring up that, this is like second year, this is 2015, second year of me owning a brewery. So I was still pretty new on the brew scene, and he seemed knowledgeable. So I start, kind of bending his ear, like, so how's this working? And, thinking ahead in the future, maybe I want to do that, share with another brewery. And we start talking about that and get a little more in depth. And then he's like, well, where's your brewery at? And I say, well, Seattle. And he's like, well, you mean in Seattle, or do you mean like, no, that's general area. It's just easier because most people don't know Seattle. He's like, oh, I know Seattle very well. Where's your, and I tell him it's in Enumclaw. And then he's like, yeah, so I used to own a pretty big brewery up there. And yeah, I just, I had to retire and let them buy me out. And so obviously I want to poke a little bit.
Yeah.
Come to find out that he owned Pyramid Brewing.
No way.
Which is obvious. Everybody knows it. It's a pretty big company, which turned into a really, really cool conversation because it got really in depth. So he started on his own and, needed help just doing things, and then needed a little extra cash. So then he brought on a partner. And then he ended up bringing on a third person. So every step, and this is the thing with breweries, like as you try and expand, you got to, buy new things. You got to buy bigger equipment. You got to buy new grain elevators. All those sort of things cost money. And, the bank will give you a certain amount, but, you need money down or extra cash. So he took on up to 3 partners, and then one partner went away, that sort of thing. And then obviously, as we know it, Pyramid got huge, right?
Yeah.
So they got to a point where the demand was so high. They had that spot right next to the ballpark. So the demand was so high that they still needed more cash to make bigger fermenters and that sort of thing. So that's when they opened up to the public. So then it was a publicly traded company.
Oh, okay.
And this is where it got super cool because he flat out told me, don't ever do that. Us as brewers, we do a bad beer, we're not going to put that beer out there. We're going to just dump that down the floor. And
right.
But if you have stockholders,
they still want it out there.
You need to rename it. You need to sell it half price. You need to sell it to a crappier brewery. You need to do something, but we need money for that. You can't just dump it down the floor. And he said that absolutely just chapped his hide, and he couldn't stand it anymore. And then he, offered his shares and got bought out. And then he had a non-compete, and he specifically made the non-compete. I don't know how many miles it is, but it was whatever miles. He's like, I am exactly 5 feet past the mileage, and opened a new brewery down in Arizona. And he's like, retirement age, so I wanted to, retire down here with all the blue hairs. But super, super cool conversation. But that's what happens when you drink beer in the middle of the day and just strike up a conversation.
And that's why he was kind of checked out just in his newspaper, too. He was just like,
it doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's Monday or Tuesday in the middle of the day. How many people are going to drink beer here?
Been there. I don't want to, I'm not busting my butt anymore.
Don't have to. I'm sure he got a pretty penny for it.
Yeah. Obviously. And then now it's just kind of have fun with it.
Yep. Totally.
Well, so that was so I like how you asked me, hey Trav, what do you do with your friends? Where do you go? And I'm like, yeah. And then I ask you, and you're like, yeah, I went by myself down to Arizona.
Well, I was meeting friends. Down there. I was by myself at the time. Just that story.
I thought you were actually authentically asking me, hey Trav, so you've got friends. What is it like? What do you do? Where do you guys go?
Well, I was just checking to see if you go drink beer. And I think you guys drink beer, but you drink crap beer. You don't go to breweries.
I go to the breweries now. But I do drink crap beer. If you go to Chelan,
no excuse. There's Chelan Brewing Company.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
Do you network?
Yeah, that one's in what's the one on the other side of the lake?
Chelan?
No, Lake Chelan, and then the little town that's on the other side of the lake.
Oh, it's like not Ottawa, but it's like that's Canada. But it's like that type of a name. It's like Hemsley or
I think it starts with an M.
Matt is more. I know you're talking about. I can see the sign. I can see the sign when you're driving.
Yeah, it's basically halfway around the lake, but there's a brewery right in the town. Manson. That's the name of it.
Nailed it. Ottawa.
Yeah. Manson. There is a brewery called Chelan brewing company in Manson.
So do you network with some of these breweries on the east side too? I know that you network with a few on the
I've met a lot of them.
Side,
it's about going to events and meeting them. Obviously, when I'm out and about, I'll stop in and say, hey, but, people do that with me. You kind of remember them. Do you really remember them? When you go to an event, you're there all day together, shooting the breeze and drinking beers. You really remember people at that point. Yeah. Doghouse Brewing in Leavenworth, I know them very well. They're, started super, super small. They've kind of expanded a little bit, but they're still a pretty small brewery. And
so this was Sean's idea. He actually approached me on this and said, hey, what do you think about every once in a while, future of the show being, let's bring on a guest or two and kind of talk, and we can talk with other breweries, brewers, whoever and whatever. And I think you're kind of lining up a guest list. It seems like for 2021.
Yeah, I got some good friends. I made a lot of great connections.
These friends you would actually go to Arizona with. They're probably busy too.
Yeah. So different breweries or like beer bar people. I know a lot of really great beer bars.
Nice.
Locally we have the Mint. And then, the Mint is great. It's got, I don't even know, it has 27 taps, give or take. Yeah. That's a lot of different beers that you can sit down and enjoy. You go up the hill from town in Phil's, same thing. Phil's has something like 27 taps, give or take. Yeah. So, that's a lot of different beers. You can sit down, craft beer. Then you get out of town and, over Black Diamond Boots Bar is a great bar. They have some great craft beer. They always have Coal Street on
nice.
Tap, so
Yeah, like that.
Getting outside of that, then you have Imbibe in Maple Valley, going the opposite way, Craft Brew down in Auburn. But then those are beer bars, and then breweries wise, we have Lost Woods in Bonnie Lake, then Lumber House and Black Diamond. Those are two closest. Elkhead and Buckley. Sorry.
Yeah.
Elkhead's been there forever.
Yeah.
I can't leave them out.
Well, I didn't know because I don't know if there's any beef with anybody. So you're like,
no.
So you were just
Rich and I get along real well.
Okay, cool.
I might be able to get Rich in here. But,
really?
But that'll be a stretch.
That'll be a stretch. Okay. Well, Joey's always talking about he's going to get what's the guy's name? Tuyas Sopo on
Husky alum.
Yeah, no, wait, not Tuyas Sopo. I
was gonna say
I went blank. I can see his I can see his face. I've actually been there when Joey's been texting him. Middle linebacker of the Seahawks, back in the day, Super Bowl
Bosworth?
era. No. Yeah. He's gosh darn it. I can see his eyebrows. I can see his entire face. Tutupu. There we go. Tutupu. And so Joey's always saying Tutupu. And has Tutupu shown up? No. But maybe so is Elkhead, is that like getting Tutupu
on? Possibly. I don't know. I mean, Rich is pretty open guy, but it's this whole thing. He's old school. He doesn't even have a smartphone. He will straight up tell you, he's like, because I always I'm like, well, when I go to towns, I quick hit the cell phone and look for a beer bar. And he's like, if there's beer in a town, I will find it. I don't need a fancy phone to let me know where it's at. So a whole podcast is kind of along the same level. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
We're on the radio right now.
But I think, that's the thing. A lot of people think when they record, they're like, "Oh, is this live?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna take a week."
People watching us?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a
camera
week
too.
Editing this thing, like it's gonna take a while. If you say something that you don't want me to air, I'm gonna take it out. In fact, Sarah Johnson called me out. She goes, "I've noticed, Travis, that you will take out your bad jokes, but you'll leave mine in there."
Yep.
And
I've noticed that too.
That's I'm like, yeah, I edit it. Sorry. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
So anyway, the future of the show, gonna get a guest list going, and you've got a lot of things around the area here.
Yeah, I have some great connections and cool people. Throw some shout outs about them, and then get them in here and bring. And the other thing is they'll bring their beer. So,
then I can taste that too.
Yeah.
I like that,
and I can save the little beer.
You can save the. Oh yeah, I'm just drinking you out of business over here. I love. Shout out to Sean. My cousin and I, we play video games, and I was kind of having a turd weekend. I was like, just a turd weekend, and I'm like, you know what? Tonight I'm gonna play video games with my cousin, and I'm just gonna drink an IPA. And rather than going to the store, I just grabbed my growler and I headed over to Cole Street. And I mean, it was reasonably priced. Like that growler, I was surprised. I always expect I'm going to pay an arm and a leg. And it was like, and not just because of you. I know that you would love for me to do that. I'd love you'd love to take a leg or an arm from me.
Yeah.
Very cool of you. But it was such a reasonably priced, and I had a great night. I had that IPA, and I was playing PUBG with my cousin, and we sucked because he was drinking on his side. He was over in Tacoma. If you're doing
it's a fine line between perfect or a great night of drinking and playing video games, and then kind of the
backside. You realize you suck anyways. Might as well drink while you suck. So anyway, it was just I had such a good time. So thank you. I'm going to say this. I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to say this. Maybe you know what? We might save it for the next one. I'm going to save this question for the next one. That's a teaser for everyone else.
Ooh, Travis is thinking about something. That's a teaser.
Yeah, it's a teaser question that, you know what? This is going to be one of those feels good, like a feel good question too. It's a feel good question. Okay, you there?
Okay,
you following me so far? Okay, all right. I think we hit our list. I know that we got shout outs coming up, unless there's anything more you wanted to add into this.
I think I'm good on this episode. I mean,
okay. People
definitely done with this seltzer water.
Yeah, it's seltzer water. It's definitely
dieting.
It's a
dieting right now.
It's a dieting.
Yeah. Also want to throw out there. Yeah. So I can't say that this is gluten free, but this is as gluten free as I can get. So the only gluten that is possibly in this is from my yeast. So the yeast is propagated in beer because it's a beer yeast. But when that, it goes in the fermenting, it gets diluted in the liquid. So I would say it's 95% gluten free.
All right, we're holding you to it.
Gluten low gluten.
A glow. I am going to mention this though. Starting a new podcast series because I was at Cole Street Brewery this past weekend. I met somebody that I've never talked to before. Nice guy. I kind of got pulled over by some friends who were like, "Hey, Trav, come sit down." And so sat near him, talked to him, was drinking the Cole Street Brew, and this person that I met, and you guys have all been there before. Right, you guys have all been there before where you've been either at a bar or a barbecue, maybe even with your kids on a drive, and they're like, "Tell us a story," or maybe even you're meeting someone new, and you just pull something out when you have like something like a mutual conversation. So a new series coming out. It's going to be called Glory Days, FBC Glory Days. What that means is it's those stories that back in the day that you accomplished something huge. That one moment, that one shining moment, that one moment where you were like the champion of, you hit the game winner. And I was like, even trying to go away from sports. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that I know that are in sports, so we're probably gonna hear more sports stories. But if you won ASB president, or if you did something that was just amazing, you went to another country on a field trip, something from back in the day.
I got bartender of the year.
That's what I'm talking about. We're not talking about that now. We're not talking about that now. And we might have a few different ones from some of the regular hosts. I have kind of shot that out as a text to all the hosts that I've had. Next time we record, put together it's just gonna be a small little thing, 10 to 15 minutes. But it was because this guy was telling me a story from when he played baseball, and he could have played. Now that it wasn't, I mean, hey, maybe some of those are out there. He said he was thinking about trying out for the Mariners. He was supposed to get drafted, didn't get drafted. And I just, and then he's doing this instead now. And I feel like there's so much potential when you're a young kid playing sports or whatever. And then it's like, so I did this, that was kind of cool, but now I just do this now and I'm a loser. Like, that's kind of where people like, oh, well, you didn't have that victory moment. No, that shaped you to be who you are today, right? Like, not everyone is going to be Michael Jordan. If everyone's Michael Jordan, then Michael Jordan isn't Michael Jordan. Like, not everyone can make the team. Not everyone can. There's amazing players out there that work 9 to 5s Monday through Friday. There's amazing high school players. There's amazing even college players that are working nights shift somewhere. It doesn't take away from what that we were able to do just because they didn't go pro or whatever. So everyone's got that story. I want to hear everyone's story. If you have a story you want to be on, come talk to me, message me. I'll bring you in 10, 15 minutes. We can roll it. I want to record a bunch of these and then release these throughout the week as filler episodes. Nothing super long, something that you can just throw in the car and just kind of hear a cool story of glory days. And based off of that conversation I had at Cole Street Brewery, where ideas come to fruition.
Where strangers meet and become friends. Did you know that guy ahead of time? You got introduced, and then you're friends after a brew.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Again, his wife, I guess I kind of knew. She took a picture with me even there. That's just my new thing now. I just go to Cole Street. Someone says, hey,
celebrity.
I know who you are. Let's take a picture. I'm going to send it to my friend who knows you as well. And so that's who I am now. Just the picture guy. I'm going to dress up like Superman and all the other like street performers in Vegas. That's who I'm going to get my own little circle out in front of Cole Street where I can just stand there and then put a hat out there and maybe make a little bit of money. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'm doing that. We got teasers galore going on right now. So, any shout outs on your side?
Shout outs. I want to shout out two beautiful ladies that stop by my brewery all the time. They go hiking and they wear my stocking caps and they play pickleball out at the old junior high. Wear my t-shirts.
Pickleball players, huh?
Yeah. Shelly Bilyeu and then Kathy Madowa. Madoda. Well, I don't know how to say her last name, but
go Kathy M.
Yes, Kathy M.
Kathy M on that one. Yeah. Are you? Did you tell them that you're gonna? Hey, can I shout you out? I
did. Yeah.
And they're like, "Go for it. That'd be awesome."
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And what about Steve guy? The
Steve from the transmission shop.
Yeah.
Oh,
did you tell him?
Didn't I shout him out last week? Oh
no,
yeah.
Did you tell him about? Hey, we may have talked about the engine or the car that eats people. Well, that's cool. So they come in on a regular basis to go to buy pre.
Well, no. So what they go is they do athletic things and burn off calories, and then they come in to regain calories.
And you said that if you go on a hike, that's the best way of doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just get it right back. Any more shout outs?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I'm shouting out you and appreciate you. Shouting out all the Patreon subscribers. I keep forgetting Seth Loop. Seth Loop, thank you so much. Then Holly Graff, Eric Madrid, Kellen Hall, Casey Scott, my brother Adam Kenny. That's 6. If you want to do more, if you want to be a part of that, go to Patreon and search for Full Body Cast, one word. Also want to shout out. I'm going to do one more shout out. People that randomly, you know what? I'm going to save that for the next one. I'm saving that for the next one.
All right.
Everyone, thank you. Have a great week. Enjoy your time. Go hit up Cole Street Brewery. Take yourself in Full Body Cast or with a Full Body Cast. You won't have the seltzer water on hand. I will. Oh, you will.
Yeah, it'll be on tap.
It'll be on
Beer
tap.
of the week.
Beer of the week. All right, go hit it up. Try the beer of the week.
Oh, no growler fills on the seltzer because it loses its fizz
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So shake it up in the bottle.
So sorry about that.
On tap only.
On tap only, and then hit us up with some names for it, possibly. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Cheers.
In the world today, you really need a pod. Why don't you put your headphones in and give this one a shot? Wouldn't you like to just listen away and go to a place where everybody knows who you are? Listen to two guys brew, ha ha. Cole Street Brewery and Full Body Cast, two of the greatest names. Why don't you go and listen to this episode?